We're back to the Neil Haley Show. And again, I want to thank LegalSoft to get to talk to such amazing lawyers of amazing practices. And my guest today is Justin Blitz and from Blitz Law Group. Justin, thanks for stopping by. And, this is such an interesting story of how you got involved in law. Kind of tell me, did you always want to be a lawyer? Was that something growing up you wanted to do?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a interesting thing. When I first, my father is a trial lawyer. I'm a trial lawyer. My uncle is a trial lawyer. I'm actually the only one of their many children who became a trial lawyer. But when I first became a lawyer, I actually wanted to be in the music business. And I worked for a record label and was in there doing all that stuff. And then so switched over fairly early in my legal career, but originally was planning on doing the music stuff, which is totally different, obviously, than what I'm doing today.
And then when you said you always want to be a lawyer and all that stuff because of family and stuff like that, when you were in law school, what made you choose personal injury, especially when you were interested in the music business and stuff like that? You probably thought you were going to practice something else.
Yeah, it's really about the trials for me. And we represent catastrophically injured people. And I saw my family doing that, and they did that with great success. And the idea, I guess, firstly, I'm better with my mouth than I am with my writing. And we tell stories from our clients, and they're not able to, and we are their voices. And it's a very admirable thing. And most of the cases that I do that I remember, they're life-changing things for these people.
Oh, absolutely. And so when you chose to do that was such an important thing. You saw how you help people through going through this process in personal injury, right? You enjoy, again, being a trial lawyer. And when you were in law school, you said, I'm going to choose personal injury. And you saw because they need your help the most, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's a very, very difficult process, the legal system, to get through. And it's not just they need a lawyer. When you're catastrophically injured, or close family member dies from a tragic accident, there's so much to do, there's so much to think of, and you're grieving. And you really need someone. It's not just oh, well, my uncle does real estate law or he does wills. You need someone who knows what they're doing, who knows how to procure an autopsy when is necessary, and knows how to get video footage from places that you shouldn't be getting it, and you know how to make sure that you have someone to protect your rights. If you're entitled to money because of someone else's negligence, you're typically getting it from an insurance carrier. Insurance carriers can't blame them. They're going to do everything they can to protect their money. They're not in the business of handing it out, right? So, no one's handing someone. If your loved one gets hit by a bus tomorrow, and no one's handing you $1 million and saying, I'm sorry. You're looking at a drawn out process where you're going to have to fight for any penny that you deserve for fair compensation. And you need someone who's really qualified and has no fear for any of the big guys. We represent the little guys, and we're going against the big guys.
And what kind of big guys do you go against, without naming names?
We go against the corporations, and we go against the city and the municipalities, and we go against the insurance carriers. And the insurance carriers and the insurance industry in the state of New York, their lobbying has more money than any other group in the entire state, in terms of power and in terms of where they how they influence the laws that affect injured people and that affect everyday New Yorkers. So we're constantly, every single case I have in this office, it's us versus, lots of them. At my last trial up in Westchester was against the largest construction company in the world, and there were 16 attorneys sitting there against myself. And we had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful result at the
So
end of it.
how are you able to see, this is the thing that why hire Justin against 16 attorneys? How did you prepare yourself for something going against that big of amount of a group? I used to be an educational advocate when I was still a school teacher and had a tutoring business, and I represented families with IEP meetings and had to go against a group of a school board or a school district with 7 people in the room, 8 people in the room. It was just me against them. How did you handle something like that? That's got to be intimidating, but also you see the importance of who you're representing and how you are going to get justice to go on your side.
So despite my great set of hair, I've been doing this a long time. When I was younger, that probably would have been something that would have, it's such a frightening experience, but it's really experience. I've taken, without exaggerating, easily over 100 verdicts in my career. And I have extreme confidence because I am very, very, very good at what I do. There's many things in this world I'm not good at. Okay. And you can get my wife on the next program and she will keep you here for days to tell you all of them. But there are some things I'm very good at. Representing an injured person in a court of law, whether it's 1 person, 10 persons, or 40 people, or 16 for that matter, on the other side. If there's any fear, you feed off that energy and you turn that fear into positive energy. And then there's the old saying, you can just stare at all of them and picture them all naked.
That's a good, always a process. So so once you chose to practice injury, how did you grow your practice? What were your techniques? Was the journey a hard journey, or were you just perfect for this position to grow a firm?
Yeah, it's never an easy journey. So I was fortunate that I had the benefit of my father's firm, that I started out as an attorney. But then what happened was I saw that one of the younger partners was stealing, and I left my father's firm with my father. He became older in age and he was not healthy. And so I started my own firm with 2 other guys with a big debt and about 6 cases I took over. And we just worked and we put our heads to the pavement. And this was back in the days when pre-COVID, and it would be not uncommon for me to have been in 3 different boroughs in one morning, starting out in the Bronx, heading over to a courthouse in Queens, and then having a meeting with attorneys in Manhattan. And it just takes tremendous amount of persistence, and it's a high risk nature, my business. And you have to have the cojones, so to speak, to really do it and have confidence in yourself. So now I've been on my own. We're 18 years, but interestingly, last April, I had a partner for 16 years. And then last April, I started my own practice, really. So I had to do it again after a decade and a half. And now we're about a year into the Blitz Law Group, and things are doing great.
Well, that's fantastic. So you said you've started a couple firms and you've done this. So starting again, it's basically the relationships, right? It's all about relationship building and building those relationships. So when someone has been injured, the referrals are going to come. But there's multiple ways to do it. So the challenges of starting a new firm again, even though you've done it before, how's it different now than before?
Oh, that's a great question. It's different because I know what I'm doing. I literally knew nothing. We knew nothing, like um, and you hopefully learn from your mistakes, so now it's, from everything from, I, I took every case that walked into the door back then. We were, we needed the business. Now I have a much higher threshold. I understand the ramifications of the commitment that you get involved financially, time wise. We have better relationships. I it I'm in a tough business because I'm not in a business where you wake up and you can say, "Oh, I want to go get clients today." I'm gonna, unless it's a felony to go do ambulance chasing and show up at
Right.
hospitals. I mean, there's lowlifes who do it, like lowlifes in every industry, right? But what does it take? It takes building up a reputation, building up the relationships, my very first trial was a verdict. I had no idea what I was doing. I represented a young guy who lived in the Bronx. He worked at a grocery store. And every time he came home from the grocery store, he would go into his apartment on Elder Avenue in the Bronx, and there would be robbers there, and they would beat him up and take his money. And he kept complaining to the building to put locks on the door, and they never put locks. And he came home one day and these guys beat him with a baseball bat, and we sued the landlord for negligent security, and the jury gave me $4.3 million. And I literally had no idea what I was doing. Judge, I remember, he pulled me to the side. He said, it's your first case, right? And I'm like, you can tell,
Right.
and it's like, just from there, you pick up, I just ran with it 18 years now. So the second time around, it's, of course, it's not a smooth sailing, but things have been a lot easier. And it helps having a nice full caseload with big, heavy cases. And I've represented some very famous people in the world, and I just finished a case with a big, representing Trevor Noah, in a case. So I'd say it's a tad easier the second time around is probably an understatement.
Oh, especially you talk about big names representing for sure. Now, tell us what kind of cases as a personal injury lawyer, because you're busy doing a lot of them. Anything in personal injury do you work with?
So I'm trained as a malpractice attorney. Um, I'm trained, meaning there are many personal injury attorneys out there. There are not many who actually know how to do medical malpractice cases. I would say
Wow.
there's maybe a handful in the city that actually are really good at it. But we really do everything I do. Our bread and butter, so to speak, is your common car accident. Somebody trips on a broken sidewalk. Just in the past, 2 weeks, I signed up a young lady who was hit by a car in Times Square. I signed up a gentleman who was beaten with a bottle by a famous guy's son in the middle of the street.
Oh,
I represent a young man who was horribly raped by his rabbi in a yeshiva. Um,
oh
and,
my.
and then I represent a lovely woman from Boston who was at a hotel in the city going to the theater, and she tripped and fell and fractured her face from broken stairs in the hotel. So it really runs the gamut. All I could say is we take real cases with serious injuries, and that are clearly the negligence of someone else.
What differentiates you from your competition when it comes to being a personal injury lawyer and firm?
I've got some colleagues that are really, really good at what they do. There's no doubt about it. There's some guys that are just fantastic. There's some guys nationally that I read from, I learn from. Um, I listen, I'm from the streets of New York City. I grew up in a unbelievable fashion, at a time in New York that was a really incredible time. And unfortunately, I saw some amazing things, but unfortunately, I saw some really tragic and terrible things as a young child. And I've been associated and friends and grew up with some of the poorest kids in this city and some of the richest people in
Oh,
this city. And that's true. And because of all of that, and then because of the background that my family brings, I literally was watching my father in a courthouse and running around his law firm when I was 10, 11 years old. Um, and I have a big belief in telling a brutal honesty of a genuine story. And so if you put all of those factors together, it's what really makes me one of the great trial attorneys in this city. And I know that. And I'm not saying, I mean, what's the best? There's all kinds of bests,
and New York's the best place in the world. So in a lot of ways,
right,
and
where
you're going to be one of the best trial attorneys. Yeah,
um, I mean, I think I could say I could put on this hand the guys that I think I would rival me, in terms of doing an unbelievable job. And you saying all that, um, I understand the value of humility, and I understand the value of time. Time is so important, and I understand the value of truly listening. And when you truly listen to your client, for example, then you can truly tell your story effectively.
yeah.
And I believe in human connection, and I believe in laying it all out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think because of all of that, jurors respect that, and they have a understanding that there's a legitimacy to it.
Definitely. It's such a your experience. You're one of the best. That differentiates you. Your colleague, your firm, your understanding of New York. A lot of times, people come in and become, they are not from New York. You're from New York. You can relate to people so much more because of growing up in New York City. You understand things more, and that's really, really important. Now, I have a question regarding again LegalSoft, as we thank them again for having the opportunity to talk to someone like yourself. How they helped you grow your practice?
LegalSoft has been excellent. They have a new group of people over there that are really taking an initiative. They brought over a videographer just last week, and they've really upped their game with their dedication to their clients, like myself, and just keeping their ear out for opportunities that are beneficial to me, like being on your podcast today. And so it's rare to find a company that does a little bit more than what is just on the contract and what their obligations are.
And what did they do for you, LegalSoft?
So LegalSoft provides, they do my social media. They do our posts and stories, and basically in charge of all social media aspects of the Blitz Law Group operation.
It's good not to have to worry about it, right? That's the nice thing about having somebody on your side to do those things. It's good not to worry about it and say it's done. I can go and do what I'm best at.
It
That's
is.
it's good.
My time is very, very limited, and yes, it is. It's good to know that it's in good hands, because that's the future, right?
Totally is. It's the future. Social media, branding yourself, personal branding is huge. and you're intriguing as heck. And I'm sure not many people get the chance to talk to you. So I'm going to definitely relish the fact to get the chance to learn from you. Where is the best place people can find information on you and contact you to schedule a call with you today? Where can they go?
I appreciate it. You can find me right here in my office where I spend tremendous amount of time. It's blitzlawgroup.com, www.blitzlawgroup.com. We're here in Manhattan on 747 3rd Avenue, and come give me a call, and we'd love to see if we can help you in any manner, way or possible, and not just telling you the best restaurants in New York City, but actually helping you provide justice for your loved one.
Appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks for your
All
time.
right. You're welcome. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.